Rena
every
will get
time.
you every time.
Turning now to your international headlines. Oxygen plants in India are being pushed to their limits as demand skyrockets.
Suppliers are rushing to get those tanks to hospitals where doctors say COVID patients are suffocating. Long lines outside of oxygen plants were seen in some of India's most populous states. Many spots shut down regular fillings and are only focusing on filling up cylinders for medical oxygen. Now criticism is falling onto the governments for what doctors say was negligence in the face of a foreseeable public health disaster. This is the third day India set a global daily record of new infections. In our next hour on Prime, we'll speak with an epidemiologist about the dire situation in India.
Police were deployed across London today as a number of protests against COVID-19 lockdowns and vaccine passports took place throughout the city. Several thousand demonstrators marched despite restrictions against mass gatherings. Local police are strongly advising people not to attend public demonstrations. So far, Metropolitan Police have not confirmed any arrests.
Officials in the Indonesian Navy have called off the search for a sub. It's been missing since Wednesday. They found debris from the submarine, which lost contact on Wednesday. That means the submarine fractured and sank. All 53 crew members on board were declared dead. Authorities are now expected to carry out an evacuation process to recover the sub and its crew once they pinpoint exactly where it is.
More than 40 people were arrested and 20 officers were hurt following another night of clashes between Palestinians and Israeli police in riot gear in East Jerusalem. Tensions are higher than usual due to the pandemic restrictions on gatherings during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. As a result, confrontations between Israeli police and Palestinians have become a nightly event. At least 10 rockets were fired toward Israel by militants in the Gaza Strip as hundreds in Palestinian towns across the occupied West Bank challenged the nightly curfews.
Firefighters in Northern Ireland are spending a second consecutive day battling a large wildfire in the Mourne Mountains. More than 70 firefighters from across Northern Ireland were trying to contain the fire, while helicopters from both Britain and Ireland are joining the effort. The fire has been spreading since yesterday. The Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service has urged people to stay away from the area, declaring the blaze a major incident.
KWWL, we've got you covered. This is KWWL News at 10.
On a special night in Iowa on this Monday. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Steele.
And I'm Abby Turpin. Thank you so much for joining us for our Caucus 2020 coverage.
And of course, thousands of Iowans from across the state proclaiming at caucuses tonight who they would like to see as the nominee in their particular party. Democrats caucus differently than Republicans, as you know. The Democrats are caucusing differently in the past, too, and we'll talk more about that with KWWL political analyst Chris Larimer here in just a few minutes.
Unlike 2016, results for the Democratic Party are very slow to come in tonight. At this point, what you're seeing on your screen, the first alignment numbers look like this. That is only 3% reporting. Bernie Sanders getting the most support, 26%.
Yeah, it's a really, in fact, 80% of the votes or the caucus results were in by this time 4 years ago. So we're not sure yet if it's the new smartphone caucus reporting app from the Iowa Democratic Party. Something's wrong with that, perhaps. The party says it's exercising quality control, and I've heard a lot of complaining at the network level about the slow results coming in here tonight.
And we do have Team 7 coverage all across our state.
This is KWWL News at 6.
Tonight, live here at 6 o'clock, amid a shortage of those personal protective equipment, one area of business is using its own materials to produce masks.
And Blackhawk County officials providing an update after another confirmed case of COVID-19 in the county.
And because of the coronavirus, more Iowans are now filing for unemployment for the first time in their lives due to layoffs recently. What you need to know coming up right here tonight.
And our top story tonight, of course, continues to be the coronavirus pandemic across Iowa. While the Hawkeye State is not under a shelter-in-place order, many streets in the state look like this. As you can see, many are deserted. There's some KWWL drone video over downtown Waterloo earlier today.
So right now here at 6 o'clock this evening, let's take a look at the current confirmed coronavirus cases in Iowa. The Iowa Department of Public Health website now listing 124 positive cases, including the first case for area counties, Buchanan County and Cedar County. On the encouraging side, there have been more than 2,300 Iowans who have tested negative for coronavirus.
We have learned one employee at the North Dodge Street Hy-Vee in Iowa City has tested positive for COVID-19. A spokesperson for the store says the employee was not working when they became ill and believes the virus was contracted outside of the store.
And good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ron Steele.
And I'm Abby Turpin. We do have Team 7 coverage tonight with reporters Taylor Vessel and Mark Woodley standing by. We want to begin tonight with Taylor. He's live in Waterloo with an update on Black Hawk County. Taylor.
Yeah, Ron and Abby, as you said, there is a new case in Black Hawk County that the governor announced earlier today. It is said to be travel related, so not connected to the first case, unlike the two most recent cases. Right now, that brings the county's total to 4. Now, we weren't given the condition of this newest case, but the governor's office said it's an adult between the ages of 41 and 60. Because that case is, again, travel related, the county has yet to identify any community spread. Still, officials say they're preparing for when it happens.
You know, when you look at what's going on in Iowa, community spread is happening in other areas. We've just been at this moment fortunate that all our cases have been travel related.
Now, once again, the Director of Public Health recommends that you self-isolate for 14 days if you've traveled outside of Iowa within the last 2 weeks. Now, another topic today was that of a shelter-in-place order and if the county would issue one. Now, nationally, 16 states have a stay-at-home order right now. Sheriff Tony Thompson said any talks about a shelter-in-place order have been very loose right now and that they're more so just on a what-if scenario. He said he believes if such an order comes down, it'll be driven by the state rather than the county. Ron, Abby.
Taylor, thank you very much for that live report. Now, Governor Kim Reynolds has said, though, such an order was not being considered at this time.
Yeah, she said they don't believe it's a mitigation strategy that's necessary for Iowa right now, and she cited data coming directly from the state's health department for the reasoning for that no order, at least at this point in Iowa.
This is KWWL News at 5.
Tonight, live here at 5 o'clock, Dorian downgraded finally. Even though Hurricane Dorian is still a Category 2 storm, it doesn't mean the United States is quite in the clear yet.
And the Bahamas still getting battered by Dorian, and we will have a look at the destruction.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Steele.
And I'm Abby Turpin. Thank you for joining us. And our top story tonight, vicious weather across the United States. Hurricane Dorian continues its track towards Florida.
Right now, let's show you a live picture here. This is the Jacksonville beach area in Florida. Winds very strong, shaking that camera even. You see the tide out there in the beaches of Jacksonville.
And here in Iowa, on and off rain for some of us today, but look at that sight right there out of Cedar Falls, a nice clear sky. And we will go ahead and send things over to Storm Track 7 Chief Meteorologist Mark Schnackenberg for the very latest on what we can expect throughout this evening.
Looking pretty quiet around here. The front is now drifting to the south. Just a couple of showers across our southern counties with a few clouds. Humidity level will gradually drop as we head through the evening hours. You'll probably be able to turn the air conditioning off before you go to bed here tonight. Open up the windows. It's going to be nice and comfortable come first thing tomorrow. Look at the satellite and radar. We got clouds in our southern counties, clear sky to the north, and those clouds are quickly clearing from north to south. Clouds are not quickly clearing in the southeast. Hurricane Dorian set Category 2, but at 110 miles an hour, 111 is a Category 3. So it's a still pretty strong storm here. Now it's starting to make its move towards the north. It was over the northern Bahamas there for a couple of days and not moving. Now it's moving northwest at around 6 miles per hour. I want to emphasize this is not all of the Bahamas. This is a small portion of the Bahamas, a good portion of the Bahamas, a good large portion of the Bahamas unaffected by this. So again, this is not all of the Bahamas. Now, as you see on the track, still a Category 2 hurricane as it moves towards the north and west. Look, as it approaches the coast of South Carolina as you get into Thursday afternoon. Charleston, South Carolina, Category 2 hurricane, and then runs along the coast there and finally out into the open waters of the Atlantic as we get towards Friday. We talked about this last week. We would be tracking this all week long as it hugs the coast, and the forecast still looks to be that way as it hugs the coast. And again, we're talking a Category 1, Category 2 hurricane along the North Carolina and South Carolina coast later this week. Our weather, a whole lot quieter around here and a lot more comfortable as we get in tomorrow. We'll talk about that in just a bit.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, of course, right now, millions continue to evacuate the East Coast as the Hurricane Dorian rages on.
Yeah, the storm has weakened to a Category 2 storm, as we've mentioned, but that does not mean that we are in the clear just yet. Now, right now, we're going to take a live look now. This is Daytona Beach, Florida. Hurricane Dorian forecasted to travel dangerously close to the state later on tonight. And Dorian already producing very strong waves. Look at that. Thousands have been evacuated in Florida alone ahead of the hurricane.
And the happiest place on earth closed today because of Hurricane Dorian. Disney World in Orlando closed at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And after Florida, Hurricane Dorian set to move very near to Georgia, South Carolina coast by Wednesday night into Thursday, and near or over the North Carolina coast by late Thursday of this week.
Right now, we want to show you just how massive this storm is. Right behind us, a satellite loop of Dorian and its expected path of destruction.
Let's take a closer look at the satellite images of the hurricane as it punches the Bahamas and churns its way off the island chain. This storm is so big, it can obviously be seen from outer space. Here's the picture. What a shot it is from the International Space Station of the hurricane.
Dorian's relentless winds have caused catastrophic damage and flooding in the Bahamas. This is a look at some of that flooding that they are facing. Thousands of homes have been destroyed, and so far we know 5 people have been killed in the Bahamas due to Dorian. NBC's Jamie Garola is now in Pompano Beach, Florida tonight.
Jamie has a deeper...
More heartbreaking images from the Bahamas, where the magnitude of devastation continues to grow. This is dramatic video of a journalist and his family abandoning their home, escaping by wading through water chest high, carrying their dogs. It's the story of thousands of other victims, at least 13,000 homes severely damaged or destroyed.
This is the water by my back door and glass.
Hurricane Dorian parked over the islands for a day and a half, but the U.S. Coast Guard raced to the Bahamas, providing relief, rescue, and humanitarian aid.
It's as if we're fighting a war with the enemy having all the weapons at its disposal, and we have absolutely nothing. We're hopeless.
Dorian has since lost strength and is finally moving away from the Bahamas. Now the hurricane aiming toward the U.S., appearing to spare Florida. But the governor and other officials telling residents to stay alert.
While we think this is a much better track than what we were looking at 72 hours ago, we just ask people to stay safe, remain vigilant.
Don't assume anything, because it only takes a movement here or a movement there, and we're back into the hurricane force winds.
Up the East Coast into Savannah, people are still preparing for the worst, with long lines of evacuees looking for shelter. North Carolina's coastline also bracing for impact, boarding up, packing up, and getting out. And even with this intermittent weather, there are signs that some areas in Florida are returning back to normal. Streets are full with traffic now. Some stores have reopened, also some of the major airports. And in some areas, schools will resume tomorrow. In Pompano Beach, Florida, Jamie Garola, NBC News.
And eastern Iowans are headed to Florida to help.
In fact, in this area, Paramount Ambulance out of Dubuque has sent a crew of paramedics. They will arrive in Lake City, Florida later today, we believe, and this will be their first time assisting with any kind of hurricane relief. Other Iowans are also preparing to help victims affected by Hurricane Dorian. At least 10 Red Cross volunteers from the Iowa region are already on. That's Joe Vick right there. Always volunteering, Joe is, and they'll be down on the southeast coast. Many are on standby right now.
And to read about how you can help during Hurricane Dorian, head to our website, kwwl.com.
Continuing coverage here tonight, an East Coast woman who was reportedly kidnapped has now been found here in Iowa. Authorities say Amber Garrison called 911 in the small town of Stewart. Garrison said she had been kidnapped from a truck stop in Pennsylvania back in July. She went on to say that James Smith forced her to stay in his semi as he traveled across many states. Tonight, Smith has been arrested facing multiple charges.
A driver has been critically injured after a crash in Cedar Rapids.
In fact, authorities responded to J Street in Cedar Rapids this morning. When they got there, a car was engulfed in flames. A bystander was luckily nearby and able to pull out 19-year-old Ameda Temple out of that burning vehicle. She was taken to University of Iowa hospitals and clinics. Temple has also been identified as a suspect in striking several vehicles in a parking lot just prior to that crash.
Police are asking for your help in identifying robbery suspects. The Cedar Rapids Police Department says one of the suspects tried to rob a Burger King with a handgun. Now, cash was taken, but no injuries were reported. The cars in these photos, we want to point out, are not connected to the robbery case. If you have any information as to who that might be right there, contact police.
New for you tonight here at 5 o'clock. One eastern Iowa city is having issues with its brand new flood reservoir.
KWWL's Ashley Scott was at the Bee Branch Creek in Dubuque today to find out exactly what the problem is.
Bee Branch Creek has become one of the city's favorite projects, but now it seems like the flood reservoir is dealing with its own flooding issues.
The upper level of the Bee Branch Creek has been working overtime. Water is pooling and flooding out the sidewalks, leaving behind a trail of slick mud.
Storing water here, and it's storing it longer than we really want it to, but it's still providing a place for the water to go other than the streets or basements, and so it's still serving a purpose, but just not the optimal purpose we intended for it.
The problem will be fixed when the lower level of the creek is completed.
And while this section of the creek will be closed from time to time, guests are still encouraged to use its upper trails. In Dubuque, I'm Ashley Scott, News 7 KWWL.
Ashley, thank you very much for the update tonight. The city of Dubuque hopes to have the lower level of the Bee Branch Creek finished by spring of 2021.
Well, coming up here at 5 o'clock, how Superstore Walmart is trying to make the country safer.
And a massive measles outbreak is now officially over. That's coming up right here in just a few minutes.
Right now, let's go and take a live look at the Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar. Quiet out there right now, as you can see. Chief Meteorologist Mark Schnackenberg will have the full forecast coming up. You're watching News 7 KWWL. We've got you covered in Dysart, Ely, Brandon, and of course, your hometown.
Live from News 7 KWWL, we've got you covered. This is KWWL News at 5.
Now at 5, millions nationwide could be affected by a new rule on food stamps.
Also tonight, new word coming in, arrests. 2 of them have been made already in that large fight on the one popular nightlife street in Cedar Falls. Why more arrests could be coming.
Plus, how an advocacy group is battling back on big government contracts.
This is KWWL News at 6.
Tonight here live at 6 o'clock, doorbell camera video shows more tricks than treats on Halloween. We'll get a look at some of the Halloween hoodlums in action.
And we now know the names of those involved in an icy highway accident.
And possibly the oldest story we've done for quite some time. We're digging quite into the past tonight with Taylor Vessel. That's coming up.
Don't come in here to this city council in the most diverse city in the state of Iowa talking about what a young man is wearing.
Tonight here at 10 o'clock, yes, a very heated city council debate tonight, including the Fair Chance Initiative, but the city council has passed Ban the Box in Waterloo.
Plus, a flooded fall. One part of the Hawkeye State is struggling with what to do after a highway continues to overflow with water.
And the Iowa harvest also being impacted by recent heavy rainfall. An update tonight on the Iowa crop progress. That's coming up.
Live from News 7 KWWL, we've got you covered. This is KWWL News at 10.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Steele.
And I'm Abby Turpin. Thank you for joining us. In our top story tonight, the box is banned.
That's right, Abby. In fact, the Waterloo City Council tonight adopted the ordinance to stop employers from asking job applicants about their arrest or criminal records during the initial hiring process.
Reporter Vinny Lowry was at the Waterloo City Council meeting tonight.
Vinny joins us live from near downtown Waterloo right now. Vinny.